Have you ever shaken a hand that felt warm, only to later realize it was hiding a blade? Life is full of masks. The smile that seems genuine, the voice that feels kind, the attention that feels flattering, all of it can be performance. Deception rarely arrives with horns. It arrives with charm, with laughter, with perfectly timed words that make you feel seen, until one day you discover that what felt safe has quietly been eroding your peace. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. They lived among the same disguises we face today. They did not waste energy trying to control others. They trained their eyes to see clearly, their hearts to act deliberately, and above all, they protected their inner world. Because life is not about who enters your circle, it is about how you respond when their presence begins to poison it. So stay with me. Together, we'll uncover the 9 kinds of people you should never trust, and why walking away may be the most powerful act of respect for yourself. As we step into the first chapter, you meet someone whose presence feels almost fated. Their gaze is steady, their voice comforting, their timing impeccable. They notice the smallest details, mirror your emotions so perfectly that it feels like destiny brought them into your orbit. For a while, you think you've found someone rare, someone who truly sees you. But over time, a shadow creeps in. The warmth doesn't feel natural anymore. It feels rehearsed. What once felt like intuition now reveals itself as strategy. Now imagine this. Every secret you shared becomes a coin in their pocket. Every moment of vulnerability becomes a tool. They weren't listening to heal you. They were collecting. They weren't holding your hand to steady you. They were calculating how much leverage they had. One day it hits you. Their kindness has strings. Their affection is transactional. Their support is a performance staged to secure your trust, until the moment comes to twist it back against you. And that moment always comes. It arrives in the form of guilt, subtle, sharp, relentless, a question that makes you doubt yourself, a suggestion that shifts your decision just enough to serve them, a reminder that you owe them something when in truth you owe them nothing. You begin to second-guess your own instincts. You wonder if you're being paranoid, but the unease never leaves, and deep down you know the truth. The Stoics faced these patterns long before us. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone is mistaken, instruct them kindly. If that fails, walk away." Clarity is more valuable than comfort, and sometimes the highest act of self-respect is not to confront with rage, but to detach with wisdom. To recognize that not every smile is sincere, not every open door is meant to be entered. Ask yourself, does this person lift you, or do they chip away at your confidence? Do they celebrate your victories, or do they quietly redirect the spotlight back to themselves? Do you leave their presence feeling lighter, or do you walk away drained, carrying a weight you can't explain? The answers don't lie in their words. They lie in the patterns, in the slow erosion of your peace. Here's where the shift begins. Protecting yourself doesn't require a speech. Boundaries do not need a speech. They only need consistency. And peace is the only proof you need. Share less. Observe more. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Some people ask how you're doing not to care, but to measure how much power they still hold. Reserve your trust for those who prove with consistency that they honor it. And when the guilt comes, and it will, remember this. Protecting your mental and emotional health is not selfish. It is self-respect. They may say you're cold, that you're overreacting, that you're imagining things. They trade in guilt. You answer with clarity, not apology. Epictetus reminded us, virtue lies in action, not in approval. You are not here to be controlled, you are here to grow. Friendship, in its truest form, is not a chain that binds, but a space where both rise, where truth is welcome, and where safety is mutual. If someone leaves you feeling small, indebted, or uncertain, it's not friendship, it's control. Step back. Let your silence say what your words could not. Walk only with those who nourish your soul, not those who quietly poison it. And from here, we move forward to another mask you must learn to see. Moving into the second chapter, it's the voice that never runs dry, the voice that seems to always know what's wrong with you, your ideas not sharp enough, your ambitions overreaching, your personality, a list of flaws they recite with practiced ease. They cloak it as honesty. They call it helping you grow, but deep inside, you know it isn't growth they're watering. It's doubt. And doubt, when fed long enough, wears you down like water hollowing out stone. Now picture this. You've worked late into the night on something that mattered to you. It wasn't perfect, but it was yours. You show it to someone close, a friend, a partner, even a mentor, and instead of acknowledgement, you get the familiar sigh, the quick list of faults, the smirk that says you should have done better. No mention of the effort, no recognition of the courage it took to try. And something in you shrinks. You begin to question not just the work, but yourself. This is the constant critic. They often stand close, which is why the blade cuts so deep. And this is why their power lasts longer than it should, because they convince you that criticism is the same as love, when in truth, criticism without compassion is nothing but cruelty. Seneca warned us long ago that words can wound deeper than steel, and wounds of the spirit take longest to heal. Here's where the Stoics hand us a shield. Marcus Aurelius said, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." It isn't the sharpness of their words that harms you, it's whether you let them take root in your inner dialogue. If you let them plant seeds, they grow into weeds. If you refuse them space, they fall to the ground and die where they land. But let's be honest, it isn't easy. Especially when their voice is constant, when it drips into your life daily until you start confusing their opinion with your own. So you must become discerning. Not every voice belongs inside your mind. Ask yourself, is this critique a tool or is it a weapon? Is it born from love or from their insecurity? If there is truth in it, take it. Let it refine you like fire tempers steel. But if it is hollow, cruel, or repeated without care, let it fall like rain on stone. Do not absorb. Do not internalize. Think of it this way. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home and scrawl poison across your walls. So why let someone scrawl poison across your thoughts? Guard your mind with the same seriousness you guard your door. Build filters. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every accusation deserves your defense. Sometimes silence is not weakness, it is armor. And here is the freedom. You don't have to stay close to the critic, even if they claim honesty. You are not disloyal for protecting your spirit. Real growth comes not from constant erosion, but from encouragement, from truth wrapped in love, from people who challenge you while reminding you that you are already enough. So let them talk, let them drown in their own noise. You don't need to silence them, you only need to stop listening. For you were never born to shrink into their comfort. You were born to expand into everything they told you was too much. And from here, we step toward the next figure, one whose smile is wide, but whose loyalty runs shallow. Advancing to the third chapter, it's the person with the brightest smile, the easy laugh, the endless charm. They know your name. They remember small details. They laugh at your jokes, even the ones that aren't funny. They appear in every photo, every group chat, every gathering. At first, you think you've met someone magnetic, someone everyone naturally wants around. But look closer. Beneath the glitter, there's nothing solid. Their presence is frequent, but their loyalty is absent. Their kindness is broad, but never deep. And when life grows heavy, when you truly need them, they vanish. Now imagine this. You hit a storm in your life. Loss, pain, a moment of silence where you hoped for someone to sit with you. The same friend who cheered the loudest at the party is suddenly nowhere to be found. No call, no message, not even the courtesy of presence. And in that absence, you realize the truth. Their warmth was never about you. It was about being liked. It was about being seen, about maintaining the illusion of connection without the burden of commitment. The Stoics spoke to this centuries ago. Seneca warned, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." True friendship is not a crowd. It is not applause. It is the quiet bond where presence is offered without being asked, where truth is never sacrificed for appearances, and where support does not vanish when the music stops. Here's where the lesson sharpens. Not every smile deserves your trust. Not every hand on your shoulder belongs in your inner circle. The Stoic learns to discern. Does this person show up in silence or only when eyes are watching? Do they offer depth, or do they skim the surface of your life like a tourist, moving quickly through streets they'll never return to? Think of it like this. Some people are sunshine friends. They appear in the bright seasons, when laughter flows easily. But the test of real friendship is whether they stay when the rain begins to fall. True companions are not afraid of your silence, your grief, your unpolished truths. They don't flinch at your storms. They sit beside you in the dark, even when there is no reward in sight. So the practice is simple, though never easy. Enjoy the superficially friendly for what they are, light, pleasant, passing company. But don't mistake their presence for loyalty. Don't hand over your secrets to someone who hasn't earned them. Don't pour the deepest parts of yourself into a vessel too shallow to hold them. Save your energy for those rare few who stand firm when the weight is heaviest. The Stoics would rather walk with one honest companion than be surrounded by 1,000 acquaintances who only know the version of you that's easy to love. Be kind, yes. Be open, yes. But be discerning. For not all friendliness is friendship. And from here, we turn to another figure, one who sits across from you, nodding, smiling, yet never truly listening. Entering the fourth chapter, you've been there. You share something that mattered to you, something that took courage to reveal, and across from you sits someone nodding, smiling, saying, like they're present, but they're not. Their eyes drift. Their attention slides away. Their responses are rehearsed echoes, not living reactions. They are present in body, but absent in spirit. And you walk away not just unheard, but unseen. Now picture the weight of that moment. It isn't a fight. It isn't rejection. It is something subtler, sharper, the wound of indifference. You don't feel opposed. You feel invisible. And invisibility in the hands of someone you trusted cuts deeper than any argument could. Slowly you begin to question not just your words, but yourself. Do I matter? Do my thoughts carry any weight? Or am I just speaking into an empty room, hoping someone might look up? The Stoics knew the power of presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness." For the Stoic, attention was not a luxury, it was discipline, it was virtue. To listen is to honor another human being's existence. To look them in the eye and say, without saying, "You matter enough for me to be fully here." That is the difference between relationships that breathe life into you and relationships that quietly drain it. Here's where the trust begins to crumble. When someone fails to hear you consistently, when they cannot meet you halfway in a conversation, they aren't just ignoring words, they're eroding the very foundation of trust. Because if they cannot be present in the small things, the story, the laugh, the simple confession, how will they ever stand beside you in the storms? The inattentive listener doesn't break the bond all at once. They hollow it out piece by piece until you realize you're carrying it alone. So what can be done? First, turn inward. Ask yourself, am I speaking with clarity? Am I reaching from a place of truth? Sometimes all it takes is a simple, direct question to draw someone back into the moment. Did you hear me? Does this matter to you? These are gentle knocks on a closed door. But if the door stays closed, if they continue to drift, Stoicism whispers its timeless reminder: we cannot control others, we can only control ourselves. And that's where the boundary forms. You can call it out with kindness. You can invite them back into the present. But if they refuse, then you must decide whether their role in your life should shrink. Because your words are not disposable. Your time is not meaningless. Your energy deserves to be met, not merely tolerated. Choose to walk with those who listen, who don't just hear sound, but absorb meaning, who reflect your words back with curiosity and care. When someone truly listens, you don't just feel heard, you feel valued. And in a world choking on distractions, presence has become a rare jewel. The Stoics remind us that rare things are the most precious. Protect them, so don't beg for attention, don't chase it, don't twist yourself small to be noticed. Instead, stand with those who show up fully, consistently, silently communicating the only words that matter. You matter. I'm here. From here, we turn to the next figure, the one whose world begins and ends with themselves. At this stage, there is a type of person whose world begins and ends with themselves. Every story finds its way back to their struggle. Every conversation becomes an echo chamber of their triumphs, their pain, their opinions. You could be pouring out your fears, your dreams, even your grief. And within moments they pivot. The focus shifts. It's no longer about you, it's about them. At first it feels subtle, almost forgivable. Then it becomes a pattern you can't ignore. You realize it isn't that they don't understand you, it's that they're not even trying to. Now picture the silence that follows. You've spoken something heavy, something raw, and instead of presence, you're met with a mirror reflecting only their light. In their world, your feelings exist as shadows, dimmed, faint, barely acknowledged. There is no room for your complexity, no space for your humanity, and in that absence, something in you begins to dim as well. Emotional invisibility. That is its own form of erasure. And it is slow, but it is real. The Stoics give us language for this wound. Epictetus taught, while we may not control how others treat us, we are always responsible for how we engage with their behavior. Their lack of empathy is not a verdict on your worth. It is a reflection of their limitation. When you finally grasp this, you stop begging for awareness where it cannot exist. You stop asking blind eyes to suddenly see you. Here's where the danger lies. When someone consistently fails to validate or even recognize your emotions, loneliness grows, not from being alone, but from being unseen while standing next to another human being. And in that space, you might begin to shrink yourself. Speak less, need less, demand nothing, just to keep the peace. But peace at that price is not peace, it is surrender. The Stoics would never accept that fate. So what can you do? Lead by example. As Epictetus said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Practice the kind of empathy you wish to receive. Offer the presence you long for, but, and this is crucial, do not expect it to be mirrored back. Instead, watch. If your openness is met with indifference, protect yourself. That doesn't mean shutting down. It means drawing boundaries. It means remembering that compassion for others does not require the sacrifice of your own well-being. Think of it like this. You can care without carrying. You can listen without absorbing. You can offer understanding without taking responsibility for someone who refuses to return it. If they continue to dismiss your needs, reduce your exposure, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. A Stoic seeks balance, and balance in relationships means surrounding yourself with those who respect both your silence and your expression. The absence of empathy is more than a lack of depth. It is a threat to your inner calm. Because when your feelings are dismissed again and again, you begin to question whether they are even real. Don't fall into that trap. Your emotions are not up for debate. They matter, they exist, and the right people will hold space for them without being asked. So remember this truth. It's not about changing those who cannot see you. It's about making sure you remain visible to yourself. And from here, we move to another figure, the one who doesn't wound you with absence, but with constant irritation, subtle and sharp. Here's where another mask reveals itself, the constant irritator. They always know just what to say to unsettle you. A jab here, a sly remark there. Their humor lands with a sting, sharp enough to leave a mark, but soft enough to be brushed aside as just a joke. And yet, you feel it. The pause in your sentence, the tightening of your jaw, the sigh you didn't mean to give away. To them, these are victories, proof that they still have power over your emotional weather. You walk away drained, questioning whether you're too sensitive, but you're not. You're simply standing across from someone who has mastered the art of emotional disruption. Now imagine this. Every interaction with them feels like a chessboard. Each word is a move, each glance a tactic. Compliments arrive laced with hidden barbs. Jokes arrive with teeth. Nothing is accidental. The aim is not connection, it's control. They don't stumble into irritation, they manufacture it. And their favorite tool is not wit or charm, it's your reaction. They grow stronger the moment you lose your calm. The Stoics would not be surprised. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The irritator is not the real danger. Your untrained response is. That is where the battlefield truly lies. Not in their words, but in how much of your peace you allow to be stolen. Here's where your strength begins. You stop trying to outplay them. This isn't a game you need to win. It's noise you need to silence, but silence within. When you respond with anger, you feed them. When you argue, you give them ground. But when you answer with calm, with stillness, with indifference, their grip begins to slip. What they stage as performance no longer has an audience. Their game ends not with your victory, but with your refusal to play. Picture it. Their words fall against you like pebbles against a mountain. The mountain does not chase the stone, it does not roar back, it simply stands, unmoved. That is Stoic detachment, not coldness, but control, not suppression, but self-command. You hear their words without letting them echo. You acknowledge their presence without granting them space inside your mind. You learn to let irritation pass through you, leaving no scar behind. But let's be clear, detachment does not mean passivity. If their behavior crosses into abuse, you set boundaries, you speak up, you walk away if you must. The strongest wall is often invisible, the line you draw inside declaring, "This person does not get to control my emotional state." That is Stoic power. True strength is not never feeling irritation. True strength is moving through irritation like a mountain moves through wind, untouched, unmoved, unconcerned. Your peace is not a reaction, it is a decision. And once you make that decision, the irritator loses their grip forever. And from here, we meet another type, the eternal victim, whose endless storms quietly pull you under. Moving into the 7th chapter, there is a person who lives beneath a permanent cloud. No matter the season, no matter the day, no matter the circumstance, something is always going wrong. To speak with them is to step into an ongoing downpour. Their problems are endless and somehow none of them are ever their fault. At first, you try to help. You offer advice, support, energy. For a while it feels meaningful, like maybe your presence is making a difference. But then the pattern reveals itself. The same stories, the same complaints, the same helplessness. And slowly you see the truth. They are not searching for solutions. They are searching for sympathy. Now imagine the weight of that cycle. Each time you sit down with them, you bring tools to fix, but they bring only anchors. You lift, but they cling. You try to steady the boat, but they punch holes beneath it. And while they may not attack you outright, they drain you all the same. They weaponize helplessness, wearing you down through dependency. Without even knowing, you become the fixer, the listener, the emotional anchor. But the more you give, the more depleted you feel, because their problems are not puzzles to be solved. They are anchors designed to keep you stuck beside them. The Stoics saw suffering differently. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." To them, suffering was never fixed. It was a test, an invitation to respond with strength, not surrender. In that light, the eternal victim's refusal to take responsibility is not just exhausting, it is a rejection of their own power. And when you try to carry what is theirs, you steal the very struggle that might make them strong. Here's where compassion must be sharpened by wisdom. How do you love someone like this without losing yourself? The Stoic answer, empathy with boundaries. Yes, you can care. Yes, you can listen. But no, you are not responsible for carrying their entire world, because doing so doesn't heal them, it enables them. Every time you take ownership of a burden they refuse to face, you delay their growth. You rob them of the trial that might have built their strength. Think of it like this. You can stand beside someone on a mountain path, but you cannot walk it for them. You can offer water, but you cannot drink it on their behalf. The most compassionate act may not be lifting them. It may be stepping back so they face the climb themselves. Boundaries, then, are not walls. They are mirrors. They reflect truth. Your healing is your responsibility. And yes, they may resent you for it. They may accuse you of coldness. But sometimes, people would rather live in chaos than face the discomfort of change. That choice belongs to them. What belongs to you is peace. Your energy matters. And if a relationship drains without giving, the Stoics would not call it friendship. They would call it a lesson. Learn it. Step forward with grace. Remember this. Support is not the same as rescue. You are not the savior in someone else's endless story of suffering. You are your own steady flame. Protect it. From here, we turn to a darker figure still. The one who smiles to your face, but slices your reputation the moment you turn your back. Advancing to the 8th chapter, we step into the presence of a quieter kind of danger. They smile when you're there. They nod. They lean in. They make you feel seen. For a moment, you think you've found safety in their company, but the moment you turn your back, the mask slips. Their words sharpen. They cut your reputation in rooms you aren't in. To your face, they are kind, even affectionate. But behind your back, they become critical, dismissive, even cruel, and that contrast leaves you reeling. Because betrayal whispered in shadows feels heavier than betrayal shouted in the open. Now imagine hearing it secondhand, a comment from a colleague, a rumor from a friend. The words sound familiar, but the voice is one you trusted. At first, you explain it away. Surely there's been some misunderstanding. But then the pattern repeats. The whispers line up one after another until the truth becomes undeniable. The very person who once made you feel safe is the one pulling the floor out from under you. That is the wound of duplicity, not just the loss of trust, but the collapse of something more basic. The belief that connection is real. The Stoics knew this wound well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, when someone stoops low, the power lies not in matching them but in refusing to meet them there. Their deceit says everything about their character and nothing about your worth. To be unlike them, that is strength. Here's where their pattern reveals itself. The two-faced individual thrives on chaos. They plant seeds of doubt and then retreat into the shadows, watching as relationships fracture. Why? Because authenticity is threatening. Real connection demands vulnerability, and they are terrified of being seen for who they truly are. So they hide behind masks. They shift depending on the room, the audience, the advantage. But you don't have to play along. Stoicism gives us a clear directive. Choose your company carefully. Seneca warned. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. The unspoken half of that sentence is this: walk away from those who only pretend. And walk away not from anger, not from spite, but from clarity. Your peace is more important than appearances. So how do you handle them once the truth is revealed? First, accept it fully. Stop hoping they'll change. Stop offering second chances in the name of diplomacy. You are not being unkind when you step back. You are being honest. Next, reduce your emotional investment. Don't waste energy trying to expose them. Don't waste nights plotting to match their manipulation. Protect your space instead. Close the door, not with rage, but with resolve. And then, turn back to yourself. Focus on what you can control, your own integrity. Be the kind of person who is the same in every room, the one who defends what is right, even when it is inconvenient. The one who treats others with respect, even when they aren't present to hear it. That consistency is your armor. That alignment is your shield. Let their betrayal refine you, make you sharper, not colder, more discerning, not distrustful, because not everyone deserves access to your inner world. And when someone shows you who they are in the shadows, believe them and free yourself. From here, we step into the final storm, the toxic individual whose presence consumes peace itself. Entering the 9th chapter, there are people who don't just challenge your peace, they consume it. They are not defined by one flaw or a single bad habit. They are a storm made of many elements: manipulation, jealousy, constant negativity, deception, control. Around them the very air feels heavier. Your joy dims, your doubts rise. They distort your victories until you can barely remember what winning felt like. They question your worth until even your strengths begin to look fragile. And the most dangerous part, they make you believe you are the problem, even when you know deep down something isn't right. Now picture the slow unraveling. At first, you make excuses. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe you're being too sensitive. But time strips away your illusions. You begin walking on eggshells, careful with every word. Your confidence withers. You second-guess every step. And perhaps most devastating of all, you start to forget who you were before they entered your life. That is the quiet violence of toxicity. It doesn't roar, it erodes. The Stoics would never ask you to endure such erosion. Epictetus gave us a clear compass. Keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. If someone consistently drags you away from your highest self, through guilt, through chaos, through subtle control, that is not companionship. That is captivity. And to remain in it is not loyalty. It is self-betrayal. Here's where the poison hides. Toxic individuals don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. They drip venom, drop by drop. So small you barely notice until your spirit is soaked. They smile as they do it. They lace their control with compliments. They disguise their chains as care. And the deeper you sink, the harder it becomes to trust your own intuition. So how do you break free? The Stoic path begins with awareness. Release the illusion that they will transform. Some storms are not meant to be calmed, only walked away from. Instead, observe. Pay attention to how you feel after every interaction. Are you drained? Anxious? Do you find yourself shrinking just to keep the peace? These are not coincidences. They are signals. And Stoicism teaches us not to ignore signals. Next, boundaries. Not as retaliation, but as radical self-respect. You don't need to announce them. You don't need to justify them. You simply implement them. Fewer conversations, more space, clear lines between what you will and will not accept. If they meet those boundaries with guilt trips or anger, that is only proof the boundary was needed. And if the storm persists, if their behavior escalates, manipulates, destabilizes your peace, then walk away completely. Stoicism reminds us that leaving the fire is not abandonment. It is wisdom. If the fire is someone you once loved, yes, it will hurt. But staying will destroy you. Think of it this way. Peace is not just the absence of conflict. It is the presence of integrity, of calm, of stability. Anyone who disrupts that consistently does not belong on your path. Let them go, not in anger, in strength. And when they are gone, rebuild. Reclaim your voice. Return to the version of yourself that existed before toxicity taught you to silence it. You don't need their permission to heal. You only need your own. And from here, as we leave the storm behind, we step into clarity. The Stoic truth that protecting your peace is the highest form of respect for life itself. Subscribe now for more wisdom.